Today on Rock and Blues Review, we are welcoming Murray Kinsley of Wicked Grin. They are a very well-respected band among blues fans and their peers, and they will be returning to Thorold tomorrow night at the Canal Bank Shuffle for a return engagement. Welcome to the show, Murray.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. It's going to be a pleasure. As I mentioned, we've you've been in Thorold a few times. We chatted back in May when you were here at Donnelly's.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that
And
was a fun gig.
yeah, you always do really well here. People like you. And so, as a matter of fact, I just wanted to mention that, I've got photos of you from the shuffle, and everyone seemed to want to jam with you. There's pictures there with Paul Delory, Johnny Max, Spencer McKenzie. They all got up on stage with you, and everybody had a great time.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was back. That was a few years ago, but that was fun. I remember we hosted the after jam on that one.
Yeah. It was 2016, which, yeah, it's hard to believe.
Wow.
Time goes by so fast. Okay, so I have been remiss in the past in not asking where the band name came from. So were you influenced by John Hammond's album, or is it something
Oh,
else?
well, actually, see what we like to tell people. It was originally our bass player's smile. When Leanne was back in the band, was in the band. My wife was in the band, so we tell people it was her smile. But actually, it comes from not from the John Hammond, but it comes from the original Tom Waits tune,
Right.
19. And in there, there's a line, a hat full of feathers and a wicked grin.
Uh,
We thought that that would be a cool name. And actually, we had our name just before John Hammond released that CD.
really?
So we were actually ahead of it. So, but not that it matters to him too much, I don't think.
Did you send him a thank you note
Actually,
for the publicity?
actually, we saw him at the Ottawa Blues Fest shortly after that, and we told him what had happened, and he grinned. So it's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's something for him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the history of the band. You won Best New Band in 2014, but like I said, I've got the album Shame on Me, which is the year before that. So, what is the history of the band?
Well, we started out. I had for a long time in Ottawa. I had a big 12-piece rhythm and blues band, and lots of singers and that sort of stuff. And I wanted to sort of do something a bit smaller, get back more to my roots, I guess. And so out of that band, I started the smaller band with Grin. And we started out doing local clubs, just playing around, doing a lot of cover stuff. And then on our first record, I wrote a few tunes, and they went over pretty well. And so I just started writing more, and we we recorded the Shame on Me with that, which is a lot of original on it, and it won us the award. And at that point, we decided, well, let's see what we can do with this. So we decided to go on the road and started touring. Did 4 or 5 trips across Canada, and then numerous trips into the U.S. as well. And we've recorded since then. What we've recorded three more CDs, and we're well. We COVID hurt us. We had to sort of stop touring during COVID, and a lot of the touring opportunities sort of dried up after that because a lot of places closed and never came back. And so, but that's the history. That's where we came from.
Yeah, you touched on a few things there I want to talk about. Uh, First of all, you did mention that you weren't really motivated to write during COVID, and so what has it been like since coming back?
Well, it's it was a pause in everybody's life, and I sort of took some of the lessons I learned from COVID, like that I was working way too hard for what we were getting back. And so we decided to, pick and choose a bit better. No scattergun approach to touring and booking gigs and that sort of thing. And the band changed. The band changed. It's a real rocking band. I think we're heavier now than we were before. And so then slowly inspiration for writing came back. I get moved by a lot what happens in my life, and in COVID there wasn't very much happening in my life, so that's why yeah, had no inspiration for that. Like we didn't even do any live, feeds or anything like that. We shut it down. Actually, we were looking back on our traveling thing, and we actually toured a couple of times in the U.S. during COVID, which was sort of strange looking back on it. But I do remember those times because we were. I think our last tour, half of the shows got canceled because of COVID. So, but at anyways, that's sort of like when we came back from COVID, like I say, I started to get back into writing again, and so that's why we put out the latest CD because we had some new tunes.
Yeah, I just you just mentioned about not being motivated and listening to your peers, and you just mentioned it again, and I saw another article where you were speaking about that. You like to get motivated by your own experiences, and but how does that happen when you're trying to space everything and save your life?
Uh, well, you mean, yeah, like during COVID, you mean, like, yeah, we don't, yeah, so we weren't doing anything, and actually, there's a few road tunes that came out of it, and then just just when we started to get back together, it just started to come back again, because we're out and about again, and you sort of pick up inspiration from writing, even from driving down to a gig or going to the grocery store or something, because there's always something going on that sparks. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean that, oh, I'm going to write a song about that person driving that car, but just something that comes to you while something happens, right? And then that turns into a germ of an idea. And then I have some music that's happening, and the germ of the idea joins with the music, and tunes result.
Yeah, and you also just mentioned about uh, spacing out your time. Do you plan out your year? So much touring, so much writing, so much home time.
We don't block it out, but I have certain ideas about what I want to do. Like right now, I'm putting together a short tour of Western Canada in June. And so, yeah, in June, like we're working on that now, right? Because we have to for us to go out west, it takes a lot. We have to have enough shows to actually make it worthwhile. But during COVID, I went camping a couple of times and bought myself a little 15-foot travel trailer. So what I'll do is in our trip in June, what I'll do is I'll block out before we go and after we go, and I will actually take my trailer out west. We'll do the shows, and then I'll continue on. I have a daughter and granddaughter in Vancouver, so I'll go out to Vancouver after the tour that we're actually playing, and spend a week, 10 days out there with her. So what I do is I try to, as the shows come in, I try to leave space for life. Is I guess that's planning. But like I say, I don't sit down and say, okay, well, in March we're going to do this, in April we're going to do this, because it depends on how the shows come in, and hopefully we get more festivals next year, and so that's always dependent. When we get the festivals, when we'll have free time.
Yeah,
So
I'm just wondering if you're conscious of that writing time, free time, home time, because I think some bands are not. They're touring so much, they're doing the same bars and clubs every year,
yeah,
and it's hectic. It's hard to do.
yeah, and some people that rely solely on performing for making a living, then they have to do that. I mean, especially now. I mean, you can't, because most of the musicians in town here uh, that are full-time musicians, like they teach, they record, they play in two or three groups, because right now you have to do that as a musician. And that's what I say. So the touring musicians who rely on that for income, they have to be working all the time, and they'll take anything they can get, right? So, but I'm getting to the age where, I like the touring. I like doing that, but I think there's more to life than that now, and so that's why I try to take the time off. I go camping, or we sit in the backyard, and do that sort of stuff. So. I'm very aware of it. And that's one of the things that I kept from COVID because I talked to a lot of people. And when the initial break happened, a lot of musicians I knew sort of said, wow, I'm tired. I'm just tired because the amount of work, especially as an independent group, that you have to put into booking gigs even and tours because most people will tell you if you're going on tour to book if you want to book 14 gigs, you send out probably 200 or 300 emails, and you don't just send them out once. You have to keep on it. You have to keep on it. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. So, and as I say, a lot of people at times said, I'm just working too hard for what I'm getting back. And I sort of kept that as a thought in my mind. So I'm not going to work too hard doing that anymore.
Right. So that brings up two questions. One, aside from the monetary success, I mentioned the respect you get from peers and guys wanting to play with you and jam with you. Is that important as well?
Oh
Getting,
yeah, yeah. Because part of the joy, especially like I like the blues genre because it allows within that format to play with other people to jam, as we call it, right? And I really really enjoy that because part of music is the communication between people and creating something and and we try to hopefully it's going to happen like when we're doing the shuffle in Thorold. There's some friends of mine that actually a fellow from out west, Mark Chrissinger, is going to be in town, and we played with him before. So I've told him I'm bringing an extra amp, so I hopefully he's going to come over and sit in for a song or two because you never know what's going to happen. And when that sort of a situation arises, I always like it because people come out to see us because they like what we do, and we have fans and all that. But I like to be able to give them something different. So Mark, come on up. Let's see what's going to happen here, and that's an experience because I think a lot of people who like listening to blues and coming to blues. They enjoy it because it isn't the same solo every night. It isn't the same this every night. Like if nothing wrong with cover bands and tribute bands, but I mean, you go see a Led Zeppelin tribute band and it's the same solo every night, which is fine. I mean, those guys do their thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. All forms of music are great, right? But I like the other way where you never really know exactly what's going to happen, and so each time you go out and see it could be a brand new experience.
well, again, you bring up a number of points, and I'm trying to keep track of where I was. So let's go back just a second. Uh,
Sorry.
my second question to that was, would you have any advice for young guys starting out, uh, how to budget their time and career?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, I would not be wanting to be starting out in this business right now because I guess the thing that we've learned over time is that even though it costs you a bit of money, if you can hook up with a manager who understands what you want to do and some sort of booking agent that understands where you want to play, it's worth it. It's worth it to do that because it takes a lot of load off you and you end up with better return anyway. And so, advice to young people starting up, I don't know where to go with that because, people say, follow your dream, follow your dream. Well, that's good if it works, right?
Right.
And I think there's always room in whatever form you're doing. Like I have a friend in town here, and he plays in a 80s cover band. And he says, well, that puts some food on the table. And then I have my other original band that we play for 5 people every time we play, but I can afford to do that because I have this band here. So I think you have to balance what you want to do, and it also depends on the band and the response and everything like that. So, but the thing is, you just have to keep working and listen to as many people as you can. Take as much advice as you can.
Well, I think inadvertently you gave some great advice there, and that is, you talked about the manager and the agent, understanding you. But one of the things I think I've seen with the young people is they don't know or haven't told their manager or their agent what they want to do,
Yeah,
and they hand their lives over to them And that's not always necessarily good either. You know, if you're booking these guys the same bars every year, every night,
Yeah.
it's hard to advance your career.
Yeah, and that's where see because booking agent they make their money by booking gigs, obviously, right? But a manager will make his money or his or her money by advancing your career, right? And so that's why it's important to talk to people like that and okay, so this is where I want to go. This is where I want to go. And it depends. Like, it's also like if you're a full-time musician, you have to put food on the table. That's a whole different thing. And I think it's, diversify, do as much stuff as you can. So because I know a lot of people teach and you can work teaching and going on the road at the same time. I did for a while there. And most of the time, if you have students, they understand you. So I gotta be gone for 2 weeks. I'm on the road. They say, okay, that's great. I'll wait for you and that sort of thing. So it is doable, but it's tough. It's really, really tough right now.
Yeah. And, I think those tribute bands like you say, they're fine, but that is kind of taking a lot of the spots away in festivals.
Yeah, yeah, I've thought about that too, and it's sort of no matter what you think about it, that's what people want to hear. So you can't, you could have the best band in the world, but if people don't want to hear it, no one's going to hire you, right? And so that's part of it too. So like I sometimes don't understand it, and a lot of times on stage, I tell people, in the clubs, thank you for supporting live music, especially like original live music, because the thing was, the bands that those tribute bands are playing tribute to started in their hometown bars. I mean, that's where they started,
Right.
right? And if no one came and saw them and they ended up having to give up their career because they couldn't make any money doing it, then you wouldn't have those bands. So, I mean, it all comes back to there. I figure eventually we're going to run out of new bands because, actually there is, I shouldn't say that because, we sometimes get tunnel vision in the blues world because the blues is tough right now because the audience is getting older, and I've heard of festivals that have trouble running now because they're daytime festivals and it's too hot. You know, like the older folks don't want to sit in the sun all day.
Right.
Whereas, like I know in Ottawa, there's a really vibrant new music alt scene. Like there's always live music happening in Ottawa. It's just not blues, right? So there's a lot of new music happening, and the younger crowds are not coming out to blues. I wish. Like every time we play in front of a younger audience, it works really well. We're danceable, we have a lot of fun, meaningful music, but it's really hard to get in front of a younger audience because, we're in the blues scene.
Right. Well, I think we found over the years that a well-placed tribute band can bring the fans in, the younger people, and then they get exposed to bands like you and others, and that did work.
Yeah, yeah, that does work too. It can bite you. I mean, the Ottawa Blues Fest is a perfect example because it started out, and he had a valid point. He said, "Well, I'm not making enough money with the blues, so I'm going to bring in some rockers to draw the blues." And now it's sort of like the rockers do the show, and there's the odd blues band involved, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah. No question. Um, so again, another point you brought up earlier, you were talking about Mark Kissinger and jamming and those connections. And I read an article with you where you were talking about that happening with the IBCs, um, and you ended up touring with Taz Crew. So
yeah.
what was that like?
Oh, that was fun. That we had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, we met Taz and his drummer Sonny Rock in Memphis the first time we were there, and we just sort of stayed in touch. And then little, I guess about half a year later, he just got a hold of us and said, I have a show in Barrie and I have a drummer, but I need a guitar player, bass player. Would you like to do it? So we did it. It went really well, and then a little while later, he got a hold of us, and we at that point had started touring in the U.S. and had visas at the time. And he said, "What's your U.S. status like?" And we said, "Well, we have visas." He says, "Well, you want to go on tour?" So I guess we played off and on with him for about 3 years, I guess. And that was, saw some places we never would have seen, made some connections. Taz was great. I mean, he told us because he would introduce us on stage and sort of say we had our own band, we could grin and all this sort of stuff. And he said, and if you want to talk to, club owners or wherever we're playing, just be discreet, but, go ahead. So we made connections through there as well. So got our name sort of, and that's how we got sort of an inroad into some of the places we did play in the U.S. So
Right.
we were doing okay. I think our last trip to the U.S. before everything got shut down, we were out for 6 weeks. So just in the U.S. and a lot of that was because of the contacts we'd made playing with Taz.
Right.
Plus, plus it was fun being able to just be a sideman in his band because when Wicked Grin started back in 2000, I was front person at that point and learning. I'd never been just the sole front person at that point, so a lot of learning going on, and actually playing with Taz as a sideman was 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 very informative. I learned a lot by just watching what he did and what worked and what didn't work, that sort of stuff.
Right. Well, and a lot of artists mention the International Blues Challenge, and most of them are there for the connections to talk to people, to
Mhm.
get to know people. We had Billy the Kid on, who's coming to the shuffle as well.
I
And,
saw that. Yeah, that's great.
yeah, one of the major points that he made was that he really wanted to make those connections, and they've continued. Now, and I know these festivals can provide similar opportunities to connect and to work with people or get to know people, but time does not always allow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like Billy the Kid's there. He's there the day before us. I doubt we'll see him. We actually met him in Memphis the first time we were down there. Yeah, great guy. So yeah, so generally in festivals, it's more that you played the festival and the festival organizers talking to other festivals about you that is the important part of that. And as far as making connections going, it's mostly re-meeting people. Like, oh yeah, yeah, we saw you at that. You talk about what you did and what they've been doing. Like we played Orangeville earlier this year, yeah, and I got to sit and talk with Harry Manx for about 45 minutes, in the green room, and he's one of my heroes, and I've seen him play, but I've never really had a chance to talk to him. So
Right.
we were on the same festival, so we were back in the green room, having lunch, and we ended up just talking for 45 minutes. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, the green room was always fun, but then I got to see most of them because, I wasn't heading out to the next gig.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So yeah, that was fun. So let's talk about this latest album,
Okay.
Eye of the Storm. I see you've got two of our good friends on there, Steve Mariner and Jesse O'Brien.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, we know Steve. Well, Steve's an Ottawa guy, so we've known him, well, longer than either one of us would probably like to admit, but we knew him when he was very, very young, just starting out. So we've always been friends, always, connected and do this and do that. So it was a joy to have him play on the thing. And Jesse O'Brien, I met actually when we did our Murder Creek uh, CD because we were recording down in the Hamilton area, and that's where he's from. And our producer brought him in to do some keyboard work on that, and so we've been friends ever since and in touch. So they were very, oh yeah, we'll play, it's great, and they really added a different feel to the record. We were really, really happy with what they did.
And the rest of the band.
Rest of the band, well, there's Dave Tetmar on drums, and yeah, he's on the latest album. He's a newer member of the band. He's British. He's from England. He's landed now in Canada. He loves Canada. We toured through England last year, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not coming back here. I'm not coming back." So he's yeah. Actually, we recorded "Eye of the Storm" at his studio. He has a studio in a little town south of here. Him and the bass player have the studio, so we recorded there, and Dave and I were the producers on the record. So we did all that. And the other player is on bass. We have Laura Greenberg, who I guess she played with J.W. Jones for years and years. She's won a couple of Maple Blues awards, so she's very, very solid. So they're really, really dynamite rhythm section. I'm very, very lucky to have them.
And so Leanne is not there.
No, Leanne retired. We were talking about that. It's been like, well, it was before COVID, so it's been about 6 years, I guess she's since she played with us last. Yeah,
Really? Wow.
yeah,
Again, time sure flies.
yeah. It does. It does.
Now, I just want to, you covered Snake Farm on that
Yeah.
album, and it's got a really, really unique sound. So, in terms of writing for you, do you have an idea how that sound is going to be before you do it?
Um, not really. I usually write from I write music first and lyrics fall into it. So I because the music comes first, I know, I guess you'd say I know what that's going to sound like, right? Or I know how I want it to shake down. Because Snake Farm's quite interesting. We were it was actually when we were touring in the US one year, and two different people who didn't know each other, had no connection with each other, had heard us playing. They said, "You should do Snake Farm. You should do that. It's a Ray Wiley Hubbard tune. You should do that one." So we looked it up, and his version's he's a singer songwriter guy, right? So it's very singer songwriter style. But I thought that would sound really good with a cigar box on it,
Yeah,
real raunchy cigar box. So we rearranged it for the cigar box, and had a well, we've been playing it for a while, so we knew what that one sounded like.
yeah. And I have seen you do it. And uh, the cigar box, it jumped out at me the minute I heard it. So that's a tribute to you that clearly that's what you're using. It's not
Mhm.
always apparent by other artists, so you
Yeah.
did a great job with that. And oddly enough, I see a post that you 8 years ago since you got Matt Isbell's cigar box.
I saw that today. I went, wow, 8 years, Matt, that's a long time. We've been friends. I mean, obviously he's in Memphis, so we don't hang out, but we've known each other for quite a while. And I bought the cigar box from him, and it's one of his. It's certainly not a fancy instrument. It's a cigar box with a piece of wood stuck through it and some bolts and nuts sort of on top of it. And in fact, when we went to Europe last year, I took the cigar box with me. And so because it's sort of delicate, I didn't want to pack it. So I took it apart, and I had the cigar box itself in my carry-on, right? And the neck of it was in my guitar case, which went like I do a gate check with it, so it flies with me. And the nuts and bolts that sort of the rest of the cigar box, I just put in my suitcase, right? So we fly from England to Germany. My suitcase doesn't arrive.
Mm, I,
So people we were staying with, he had a little shop, and we went back into his shop and got some bolts and nuts and a little piece of wood and reconstructed the cigar box for the shows in Germany, right? So it's made out of pieces of this and that, and it's got, I don't know, I'm sure the pickup is probably worth about $10, and it's just and the action on it is incredibly high. Like you have to use slide, you can't fret it. Some of the tuning pegs, because the head is so small, are backwards, which confuses the hell out of me. And so it's just a raunchy piece of gear, and I just love playing it. And you know, people are they're very curious about it. So we were just at a showcase out in Manitoba, and it was like the cigar box was sort of the hit of the show because people, wow, what is that? What is that? So yeah, and I like playing it. I like the sound. I like the sound of it. It's really gritty. It's really swampy. It's just down there. It's simple. You can't do anything complex on it. So
you're right, man. Like I said, you certainly get the most out of it.
thank you.
And and it's interesting too when you're talking about the parts and getting the JP Soares likes to tell the story how he bought a banjo off his brother for like $20. But by the time he got the electronics and everything else into it and a preamp and ended up costing him about 400.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, but yeah, I don't do much. I just run it through a an overdrive. I just run it through the overdrive, and that's about it. So I haven't put much more money into it. I think I bought maybe two sets of strings for it in the 8 years I've had it. So, it's just what it is. It's a very, very fun instrument, and my wife, well, Leanne made the strap for it, and I have some beads on it that the neighbors made. Like the neighbor does beadwork, and so she gave me some beads, and so I have that on it. So it's a homegrown type of thing.
Yeah. The other thing that brings up is, you talk about Matt Isbell of the Ghost Town Blues Band, of course, and he's very active in Memphis, as is Billy now. And
Hmm.
that's the other thing, you know, we crossed paths with so many, and I was fortunate in that the year that Ghost Town came second at the IBCs and Billy the Kid came third. You know, we were there and we got to book those guys plus Jerika Singleton. It was a hell of a year for bands, and it's interesting that all those paths seem to cross, and you guys have now getting to know them. And there is something to be said for those connections and the longevity of the touring afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was very fun to meet those people. In fact, we ended up doing a show, or I ended up doing a show. It's just me in Toronto a few years back, and it was a bluesy Christmas, and I guess Ghost Town was the main act. They were the band, and I sat in with them for about 4 or 5 tunes, and Paul Delorier was there.
Yeah,
And so we were the sort of the guest artists, and actually we had dueling cigar boxes that year, so it was a lot of fun. But yeah, and I guess the thing is because you go to the Blues Challenge down there, and you're right, our when we won our challenge here the first time and went down, our the head of our Blues Society president took me aside right away. And she sort of looked me in the eye and says, "You are not going there to win." She said, "There's 124 other bands, and there's a good chance that at least one of them is better than you are." Right? So she said, "You're not going there to win." And so that was okay. We got that. And she said, if we're in a room together and you see me signaling to you, I want you there in 5 seconds with a CD in your hand.
right.
And so she introduced us to a lot of people. And actually, the second time we went down, we actually made it to semifinals that year, which was fun. But we went with the express purpose of getting an American agent, and we did. We invited some people, and one of them became a sauce, signed us up right then. So that was our success story for the second time we went. So yeah, so you go, and then people you've met, and it's a cool community. Like there's some really fun people, in the blues community. Everybody's really, really friendly, very helpful. Like they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, if you're going there, you got to check this out," or talk to this person. And there's it's not competitive like that. It's very, very friendly and helpful. Everybody tries to help everybody else out.
Yeah. Oh no, and I think everyone understands that it's so subjective and random, and
Oh,
it's really tough. I think if you make it into the finals, you got a better chance because the judges are a little more seasoned.
yeah,
But before that, it's really, I mean, like I mentioned, we saw Jerika Singleton that year, and he didn't even make the finals,
yeah. Oh, I
and
know.
he's the guy who signed a record deal the next day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. It's totally subjective, and I've heard people afterwards bitching that, "Oh, yeah, we were," and I go, that's not the point. And it is, like I say, totally subjective. Like I've judged down there as well, and they have a little judges meeting, and the criteria is, what's blues? I mean, what is blues? And they try to say, okay, so if you're a blues purist, and anything more than an acoustic guitar and a harmonica is not blues, then don't judge, right? Because there's blues rock, which is a totally different thing, right? And so if one of the judges isn't disposed to blues rock, you could have a great blues rock band, but they're not going to get a good mark from this person, right? So they try to get it so that everybody's, and I've heard all sorts of things about, well, they didn't want this person to win or they didn't want that person. I judged twice, and I was never approached and told who to let through and who not to let through. So I don't know if there's some people that are, but it certainly wasn't my experience.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think it's just such a
Yeah,
wide,
yeah.
especially early on when like you say, there are so many bands and so many judges and so many venues that, you're a victim of the atmosphere sometimes.
Oh yeah, right. Yes, exactly. And it depends. I mean, you could like the first year we were there. I mean, every band in our venue was just dynamite.
They
And actually,
usually
that
are.
was yeah, the first time we were there. Actually, Mike Clark from Calgary. I don't know if you know Mike Clark. He he's he's a sax player singer, and he had a band down there, and we were in the same venue. And he sort of came up to me afterwards, and so I said, "Man, you guys are good. Anytime you're out west." He has a club. Turns out he has a club in Calgary. So he says, when you're out west, give me a call, I'll give you gigs. So got home, I gave him a call. I said, we're coming west. And he gave us a gig, right? So, and then I phoned up a club in Edmonton shortly after that. And I said, we're coming out west. And he says, oh, well, where are you playing? I said, well, we're playing Mikey's in Calgary. He said, oh, okay. So he gave me a gig too, right? So we built it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
No. And again, I think it's great that those connections between between owners and clubs, and guys like Sirius Radio, Bill Wax. I mean, they're always down there. So yeah, it's so much fun, especially like you mentioned, people getting up and jamming, and you mentioned the fans. I think they love that kind of stuff. It was
Yes.
something surprising, different.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. It's something different. So, I still remember one of my best experiences at Blues Fest here in Ottawa was John Hyatt was playing. I love John Hyatt, and right after him, Levon Helm was playing, and halfway through Levon Helm's set, they got John Hyatt out on stage with them, and I
Mm,
thought, you're never going to see that again. Never going to see that again. It's
right.
just fantastic. So I appreciate stuff like that. So I'm sure other people do too.
Oh, they sure do. So what can we expect in Thorold?
Well, we're going to be doing our high energy show. There'll be some cigar box, a lot of original music, and we got Larry Kurtz is playing harp with us down there, and he actually has a record out which is doing really really well. Larry Kurtz and the Lawbreakers. And so I think we're going to do at least one of his tunes in there. And hopefully Mark Kissinger will drop over and
If
say
you're
hi.
listening, Mark.
Yeah, yeah. And also Jessie Green, I think, might be there as well. I think she's there, so she may drop in as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, she
yeah.
is.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if she's the same day. I can't remember the schedule exactly. So we're gonna do our usual thing. Lots of original, lots of dancing, some cigar box, some tunes that make you think a little bit, hopefully. And we're just gonna be having a good time. We're just gonna be having a good time.
Well, that's what it's all about. And I'm sure that the
Yeah.
people are looking forward to you. And certainly anyone who has seen you before down here will be out because you always put on a great show. We always had fun. You mentioned that jam. It was great. And the last time you were here was great. So we're not expecting any less this time.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, our plan is to deliver that. So,
That's good.
yeah.
I will thank you for doing this. And we will see you on, tomorrow night.
Yes. Okay. Thanks for talking, man. Good to see you.
You too. Take
Yep.
care.